What's up everyone, Kilosaurus Rex here, and I actually did it. I actually bought the exact same figure a second time. I wish I was kidding about having to buy the exact same Kong figure twice, but not only has it happened before,
I am still not gonna talk about it,
but this one has just one little accessory to signify the fact that he's different. It is the exact same figure, it is the exact same character from the exact same movie, just with a little more plastic on his right arm to signify that he's, you know, different in this movie. Why did I even buy this figure? Obviously, they did the first release of Kong because he looked a little bit different at the beginning of the film. And then about halfway through the movie, he goes through a little bit of a phase, which ends up making him look, you know, a little bit different. And because he looks a little bit different, he's gonna have a new set of powers. And, you know, they're gonna wanna showcase his powers now, and they're gonna wanna release another figure to showcase what his powers were before he got this fancy little upgrade. And then who knows, maybe they'll wanna do a different version of how he looked in a different movie. And then maybe they'll release a limited edition version of how he looked in one of those movies. There are 5 movies in the Monsterverse. Count them! HIYA Toys, you can't keep getting away with this. You can't just release the exact same mold with highlights about different stuff that happens to the character in the movies and continue to get away with it. Who in their right mind would buy the same figure with different paint and different accessories and different little details over and over and over and over again? Alright, fine, the figure's awesome, but still, fuck you. Before I go any further, I just want to say happy spooky season, everybody. If it's not already obvious, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I hope you like the spooky decorations I put up for this video, which is essentially just the opening frame of the movie Sleepy Hollow. Once I'm done filming this, I'm gonna sit down and watch this movie because I fucking love it. But for right now, the spooky decoration has to go away because for some reason, there are children on this website. And I'm gonna be looking at the latest HIYA Toys release, which is the exquisite basic GXK Beast Glove Kong. Now, in case you weren't listening for the first 30 seconds of the video, this is 100% the exact same figure that they released a couple months ago. Basically, after a violent masturbation session in the middle of GXK, Kong's blue balls ended up giving his hand frostbite. Kong makes his way to a hidden civilization underneath the secret world, excuse me, and instead of giving Kong proper medical attention, they give him the Infinity Gauntlet. Because thanks to Marvel, everyone has to have a suit or a glove these days. Speaking of which, the movie actually refers to this as the Powerhouse Project, whereas all of the action figures and toy releases are calling it the Beast Glove. I don't know where they got the term beast from, but it wasn't anywhere to be seen in the movie, at least not to my recollection. Now, with the introduction to the character out of the way, let's take a look at the actual figure. I'm sorry, but I really can't say much about the exact same figure. I may make jokes about it, but there's no way to avoid it. This is the exact same figure that they released 2 months ago. Just, the only difference is the goddamn glove and a couple hands to signify the goddamn glove. Unfortunately, being the exact same figure doesn't stop it from being one of the coolest figures I've ever owned. I confess, I love this figure. Since it's the exact same figure that I've already purchased, I'm gonna go ahead and take this opportunity to toot my own horn and say, go check out that card for the other Kong figure review. Dust keeps falling from the ceiling.
Then he heard it again. Just a very faint yelp.
Which, in that video, you'll see me cover pretty much everything that I won't be covering with this figure. Now, if you took a second to go watch that video, let's carry on with this figure and touch basis on everything that's different. It took me a couple days of handling this guy to figure it out, but the painting is actually just a little bit different. There are some different shades of paint all the way along the top of his head. There's a little bit of difference when you get lower down the back of the figure. Not much difference that I could see on the front or the arms, but on the back, there is a little bit of difference when it comes to shading or detail, and there is a little bit of difference in the scar on his back. I don't know if you can tell, but this figure's scar doesn't have as much of an organic glimmer as the last figure did. Here's the two of them side by side, just so you know I'm not crazy. You can definitely see the differences, right? There aren't many differences in paint. In fact, the differences that I pointed out don't actually matter in my opinion. The detail is utterly amazing, and it's more than on par with the work that they did with the previous Kong figure, which means that it is top tier paint painting and detailing. And as for the sculpt, there's no difference whatsoever. But obviously, there's some added plastic on one of his arms. Oh, and by the way, yes, this Beast glove is 100% sculpted into the figure. Don't even try to remove it, okay? It's not coming off of there. The bicep harness is 100% built on there, and the forearm attachment, there is not a single opening. It is 100% part of the figure. Yay. If you're a dumbass, I guess you could plasma cut it off, but why the fuck would you do that? Speaking of the glove, I'm not gonna talk about it just yet. I have a couple more minor changes to touch basis on before I actually talk about the glove. And those last couple differences are in the posability. I will not be doing a posing party this early in the video because I already did a posing party for this figure in this video. Go check it out if you haven't already. However, there are some differences in this figure's integrity. To start off, there's a little bit of a difference in the right arm's integrity. It's not as sturdy. The right arm does wiggle just a little too much for my taste, but that's pretty much it in terms of integrity. Everything else is just as sturdy, just as well built, and there are some parts that might actually be better built. Let me go to the ASMR mic real quick and showcase a big difference in the figure's posability. I'm not the only one who hears 2 clicks in that forearm joint, am I? Please tell me I'm not crazy. I really don't want to go back to electroshock therapy. Those clicking joints are also present in the right arm. They're just a little bit harder to hear on the ASMR mic because there are several other joints that are moving along with the elbow for the right arm. But the clicking joints are crystal clear when you are using the elbow joint. And honestly, I'm wondering why this wasn't included in the first release of the figure. These joints are absolutely amazing, very sturdy, very strong, and honestly, it gives me belief that this figure will last a long time. And the elbows aren't the only joints that got improved. Let's talk about that last. The elbow joints aren't the only ones that have clear sounding clicky joints. Once again to the ASMR mic. The sound of those clicking knees is just beautiful. I honestly think Kong's legs deserved stronger joints than his arms did because let's face it, Kong's arms are by far the strongest aspect of his entire body. Not only are they shorter than the arms, but they barely do any of the lifting. He has to walk on all fours anyways because apparently he's a gorilla, even though he's not. If you want to see me rage about what kind of primate Kong is, go check out the other video. But still, just because Kong's legs are a little bit weaker than his arms, that doesn't mean they deserve any less attention. Standing Kong up on 2 legs is a requirement because not only does he need to be able to do the chest pounding pose, he also has to do the axe holding pose. He has to do damn near every other pose that he did in the movie while standing on 2 legs. Don't underestimate the difficulty it is for posing a Kong figure, because if I haven't said it enough, he's a primate, which means he's gonna be jumping around, he's gonna be grabbing shit, he's gonna be monkeying around, punching Godzilla a few times, swinging a baby around like it's a rag doll. All of these poses in an action figure would be impossible if you don't pay any attention to the strength needed in the legs, which HIYA Toys has done. Mostly. When it comes to like the sturdiness of the legs articulation, yeah, there's no question. This is the strongest aspect of Kong's posability. Not to mention the rotating thigh joint is even sturdier in this figure than the last one. I can't get that to move at all, which still isn't a bad thing. Rotating thigh piece is still a work of fiction, my friends. Unfortunately, the strong legs aren't gonna do much when you have weak ankles. I also addressed this complaint in the previous Kong video, but it showcases even more for this figure because... I'm pretty sure this is limited to my copy, but this right foot pops off too damn easily. Especially when you try to rotate it, it can't do it. Forget about it. This makes a lot of standing up poses even more of a struggle than it was before. And the reason it was such a struggle beforehand was because Kong's feet are so extraordinarily small and barely posable at all. As a matter of fact, I can barely even get the left foot to move. Seriously. Unless you give King Kong a ding-dong, he doesn't have a 5th appendage to put his excess weight on. He's not a tripod, he's a bipod. Respect the monkey feet. Give him some stronger, slightly bigger feet, not so much that it makes it look out of scale, just enough that he will actually stand up. Also, there wouldn't be any harm in actually making the bottom of his feet flat. It worked perfectly fine for Godzilla HIYA Toys. Every single one of HIYA Toys' Godzilla figures has flat palmed feet, which basically makes Godzilla wobble-proof. Kong is not wobble-proof. As a matter of fact, every wobble that Kong does is gonna give you a minor heart attack. I know it gave me one. God damn it. Please, HIYA Toys, for the love of all that is monkey, re-engineer Kong's feet, because the feet are not only a problem to begin with, this shit is just irritating. The feet aren't even meant to come off. The hands are the only thing that are meant to be pulled off in exchange for something else. The feet popping off easier than the hands? That's That is some bullshit. Speaking of the hands coming off, how about we look at the different accessories? Now, when I say accessories, I mean I'm only going to actually talk about 3 of the accessories, which are the 3 different hands that come for the glove. As for the other accessories, I'm just going to gloss over them real quick because we've seen them before. Once again, we have the snarling face that is beautifully well done, same level of detail. Oh, and how could I forget? Each of the faces has this, oh god, what is it called? Oh, glass eye engineering. Thank you so much, comment section. I knew I could count on you. The detail on the alternate head is just as beautiful as the default head. It's just got a different look on it. He's actually making a half snarl on this. Moving on from the snarling head, we've got the roaring head, which is once again my favorite accessory of the entire package. The roaring head sculpt is a must-have for any Kong figure because if you try to work in a posable mouth like Godzilla or Shimo, you're gonna fail. Failure! Action figures like Godzilla, Rodan, Shimo, King Ghidorah, they have snouts. And thanks to the crocodile-inspired lack of lips, toy figures are able to easily engineer a moving hinged jaw piece. But that doesn't stop them from releasing an alternative headpiece. I'm looking at you, Heat Ray Godzillas. For Kong, if you try to engineer a hinged jaw piece for Kong, don't. Trying to engineer a hinged jaw piece for a King Kong figure is a disaster waiting to happen. Not only does Kong have lips that will interfere with the opening and closing gimmick, but considering his more human-like appearance, he's gonna have a lot more expression, he's gonna have a lot more emotion. He's gonna have a happy roar, he's gonna have an angry roar, he's gonna have a sad roar, he's gonna have a laughing roar, which, by the way, HIYA Toys, when are you gonna release that? Moving on from the alternative headpieces, let's cover the alternative handpieces. We have a grabbing hand that is used for holding the axe in his left hand. His right hand is a bit more complicated. We'll get to it when we get to it. We have another left side open grabbing hand, which is still my favorite alternative hand out of the entire set. And we have another gorilla walking left hand, which is basically a knuckle dragger, which helps Kong achieve that gorilla stance, which is actually a little bit more asymmetrical in this figure, thanks to the oversized glove. And speaking of the glove, how about we take a look at it now that I've covered all the similarities in the figure? Suffice to say, I like it. So what? They released the exact same figure with a new sculpt and an attachment for the exact same price as the last one. Honestly, I'm not even that mad about it. Not to mention, for the exact same price, this right arm packs a few, shall we say, surprises. But first, let's go over the elbow joint. As I mentioned previously, there are several other joints that are at work when you rotate the elbow. But there's also a gimmick in the glove itself. The only way I can showcase this is with a better camera and a more close-up view, so have a look at this. Oh yes, my friends, your eyes do not deceive you. The Beast Glove has moving mechanics. Now that is an unnecessary but awesome detail to include in this figure. I love moving I don't know why, but when moving mechanics are included with an action figure, it just drives me nuts. Maybe because it makes the figure look more technological or more advanced in some way. I don't fucking know. I just love it. It looks cool, okay? That's not the only part of the glove that has a posability feature. Let's go to the forearm of the glove where we can deploy what the instructions call the glove's armor pieces. Yes, this is 100% movie accurate. Kong did have some movable armor pieces on the glove, although I'm pretty sure they did a little bit more than this, but when it comes to the bullshit we see in the movie, hey, what can you do? Even the way Kong got the glove on was clearly bullshit. The fact that they engineered the Beast Glove to actually have moving pieces of armor on it is nothing short of breathtaking. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pose my Beast Glove Kong like this, but don't get me wrong, I really, really want to. This is so cool. HIYA Toys thankfully included a little piece of fold-out paper that has all the instructions for the glove's armor that you'll need. Apparently you want to make sure to deploy the wrist flap first because that will make deploying the flaps on the rest of the arm that much easier, but the wrist piece is so unbelievably flappy that I honestly think we can just forget about it. The coolest part of the glove is without a doubt these armor plates, these hinge jointed armor plates that you do actually have to deploy in a certain order, because if you deploy them any other way, it's just not gonna work. I mean, once you have all of them deployed, you can put a couple of them down individually and just have one piece emerge, but that just makes it look fucking broken. I want to cut HIYA Toys some slack and say that they didn't have to include the moving armor pieces, but we all know that there's no way this figure would have paid off if the glove didn't have some sort of gimmick closely related to the movie. The posable armor pieces makes this figure just an absolute joy to handle and makes the exact same figure so much worth the same price as the original one. Deploying the armor pieces does not break the illusion. It does not take away anything from the amount of detail that is already illustrated on the glove. It's just an amazing showcase of not only the glove's abilities, but the look of it altogether. Speaking of the look of the glove, let's take a second to admire the detail, shall we? The painting on the glove is beautifully realistic. I love how they mixed a couple different shades of orange in there with yellow to stimulate a little bit of rust and aging, as well as some weathering effect on there. God damn, the glove looks more realistic than the figure, which is a little weird to say, but hey, they already nailed the figure, so why wouldn't they prioritize the glove? The detailing is amazing, especially when you get to the forearm. The holster that keeps the glove in place is amazingly well done. It is beautifully sculpted in, and the unique metallic painting that they use for the mechanical bits just makes the already mwah level detail pop even more. The mechanical hinges and everything are painted so beautifully you would almost think that the fingers actually are posable, but this ain't no HIYA Toy Shimo. The detail on the hands is bumped up even more when you take off the default fist and replace it with the first accessory for the right hand. Come on, bitch, get on there. All right, here's another complaint. For some reason, attaching the alternate fists on my copy is easier on paper. Thankfully, it's still possible. Where was I? Oh yes, the first accessory that is actually completely different in this set, the axe holding hand, which is basically the same as the fist hand, just with a minor opening to showcase this figure's ability to hold the axe. What do you mean, axe holding hand, Killosaurus? Well, I'm starting to wonder that question myself. HIYA Toys, where's the axe? Oh, you included the axe in the previous version of Kong, but not this one, so that if we wanted to pull off this pose in your promo pictures, we'd have to actually purchase the previous one.
Clever girl.
In case you're wondering, the previous version of Kong actually came with his iconic battle axe that he has in the movie. And if you want to see me look at and review the axe, go check out that card for that review. I hope you're enjoying my engagement traps. The axe from the previous Kong set is 100% compatible with this version of Kong because... do I even have to say it? Unfortunately, when it comes to compatibility, the left hand is more compatible than the right hand. Because, well, when you look at the actual grabbing space in between the hands, come on, this is pathetic. The right holding hand has virtually no space in it to hold the axe whatsoever. Since the axe is not in two pieces like the GVK version, you actually have to force the axe into the hand of Kong in order for him to hold it. And that works perfectly fine in the last figure and the left hand of this figure. But for the right hand of this figure, yeah, that's not happening. Not only is there little to no grabbing space in the right hand, but the added thickness of the Beast Glove fingers makes it so that you can barely open the hand enough for the axe to slide in. The fingers on the previous Kong, as well as the left hand for this Kong, are actually sculpted and crafted in a way that they are more open, a lot thinner, and separated so that there is less of a risk to the integrity of the hand when you force the axe in. On this hand, on the Beast Glove hand, no such thing. There is no finger separation. The added on density of the Beast Glove means that there is little to no flexibility for the fingers. And if you look closely enough at the bottom part of the hand, you'll actually see that this hand was made into two pieces, the palm and the fingers, which means that if you actually try to brute force the axe in there, you risk breaking the hand. I am not kidding. Look at these pictures that I took of the way he looks holding the axe. And yes, I actually did put blood, sweat, and tears into forcing him to hold the axe, just to show you what the final product looks like and how much I am begging you to not do this. As you can see, the fingers are already being separated from the hand itself just because I made him hold the axe in his right hand. Unless you really want him to hold the axe with this hand to replicate one of two poses that he did in the movie while holding the axe, do not risk it. It is not worth it. That is just too much of a gray area. It's too damn fragile, and it's even more inflexible, which means that it might not only damage the hand, but it could damage the axe. You only get one axe that comes with one Kong, so if you break the axe and you need a replacement, you have to buy another Kong. And Lord knows I have enough of those. And for those of you who are saying, you have more Godzillas than you do Kongs, clearly your collection is nowhere near complete, You can never have too many Godzillas. Have you even seen the background of my room? Well, one thing's for certain, I don't need to buy another Kong just because I accidentally broke something on this one. They're both from the exact same movie, and if you purchase both of them and break a piece on one, just use the other and stop crying. Wait, but I want to pose my Kong figures on the same shelf. Bitch, please. I already told you, this is the exact same character from the exact same movie. If you're gonna display both of these figures on the same shelf together, you've officially written some sort of fan fiction.
Let's shake hands like tough guys. Some of your sweat went in my mouth.
And speaking of posing, let's take this borderline useless axe-holding hand off of Kong and replace it with my favorite posing hand. Come on! Come on! Bitch! Get on there! Yes, it's a struggle to get all of the hands on there, but boy is it worth it, because as I previously said, this is my favorite hand in the entire set, the open grabbing beast glove hand. Wow. My favorite hand for this figure is the right hand, but my least favorite hand for the last figure was also the right hand. Ironic. You could say it's like Rahiane on your wedding day. Wait, that's not ironic. Let's get back to the hand, shall we? This is amazing. As I've said previously, the open grabbing hand adds so much expression, detail, and emotion to Kong as a character and the figure itself. This hand design provides almost limitless posing abilities, and with the detail of the glove added on there, it just looks phenomenal in any pose you get it in. Whether Kong is grabbing something, reaching for something, trying to smack something, or even just looking at the glove, this hand works perfectly for all of that. Speaking of Kong looking at the glove, he's not really able to. The most you can really get when it comes to getting Kong to look at the glove is looking really closely at his forearm or just looking at the hand. I kind of expected there to be some posing limitations with this figure because the elbow joint is because the elbow piece for the beast glove is actually connected to the forearm piece. And unless you make the forearm holster a separate piece, there is no way that the elbow is going to do any sort of rotating on this arm, which does take some points out of the posability factor for this figure, because without elbow rotation, Kong is barely able to raise the glove in front of his face in order to look at it or admire it, to see which stones he has collected, or I mean to see the cool little armor gimmick on the glove. Come on, I was gonna go for an Infinity War joke at some point. You could say it was inevitable. Yes, I wrote the script myself. I hope you're enjoying it. Another way it takes away in the posability is his right hand actually can't move up very far, or even at all, really. His hand can move down just as much as it was able to last time, but thanks to the armor pieces on the beast glove, it's not able to move any farther than that, and I'm pretty sure that's the default pose. So there are some limitations when it comes to posing the right hand, but that doesn't make it not fun. When you pull off some of the poses that you can get with the right arm that actually do make sense, this figure absolutely nails each and every one of them. But the open grabbing hand is not the end of this figure's accessories. I say as we go from my favorite hand accessory to my second favorite hand accessory. You thought I was gonna say my least favorite, didn't you? Didn't you? Admit it. Why won't you fucking... Gonna stay on there this time? You gonna stay on there? Hey, it's on. The gorilla walking hand is my second to least favorite, mostly because there's only one pose that it works with, okay? The gorilla walking pose, which honestly doesn't feel that important to Kong as a character, which again, he is not a gorilla. When you get him in the gorilla walking pose, it undeniably looks fantastic. The glove adds a little bit more height to the right hand, which makes it a little asymmetrical, but that's reasonable because this is 100% one of the poses he made in the movie. He actually did do a gorilla running pose when he was going to leave Hollow Earth to go get Godzilla, so I can't be that mad at it. I can only say that there's a very small amount of people who will pose their MonsterVerse Kong figure like this. The only thing more useless than the gorilla walking hand is that goddamn axe holding hand. If that's the only way Kong can hold anything with the glove on, I don't want to know what happens when he masturbates. And now that I've covered all the accessories, let's go back to the default look so that I can say that this figure is absolutely amazing. I've already addressed all of the winning aspects of this figure in the previous video, but when it comes to this new figure, the winning aspects are undoubtedly in the glove. Some additional positives are the added posability and detail on the glove. However, that is also one of the negatives because, as I've said before, the posability is limited because of the glove, and there's a little concerns when it comes to detail. Another detail concern that I have that I didn't really address is the label on the glove. Why are the letters AIE printed on the glove instead of the monarch symbol? Is it because the monarch symbol is basically a giant M, is basically a weird looking M, which also represents the Monsterverse logo? Really? Is it that much of a legal issue to actually slap a fictional logo on there? Look at this. The logo for Monarch is even right above the Monsterverse label on the box. It is a fictional logo. Why is it even up here? It's positioned right next to the Legendary and Toho brands on the box. Wait, why is the Toho brand on the box? King Kong is a Warner Brothers original character. Shouldn't the Warner Brothers brand be on there instead of the Toho brand? Oh, hey! How did all these lawyers get in my room? Suffice to say, there's only a minor amount of negatives that come with the purchase of this new figure, but they are more than made up for when you look at the positives for this new figure. Yes, the glove is absolutely amazing. It is a fantastic attachment to this Kong. Whether you have the previous Kong figure or not, you owe it to yourself as a Monsterverse fan to pick this guy up. Besides, it's the exact same price as the last figure with an added attachment, so I say go for it. Through all the grief that I've given this figure, it really is the exact same thing that HIYA Toys has been doing over and over and over again. At this point, we might as well fall for it. The last thing that I would have to cover is size comparisons, but I already did that with some of my figures. There is one figure that I did not pose Kong next to, but it wouldn't be a proper size comparison if I only did it with one figure. So here he is next to my first toy review, HIYA Toys Shimo, which he looks amazing next to. Just like the last figure, these two practically belong on a shelf together, but it's not the ultimate figure combination, as you'll see here in a few seconds. With Shimo out of the way, here he is next to I'll save it. Dasani Water Bottle, Funko Pop GXK Kong, Lego Avengers, GXK Pre-Evolved Godzilla, and the GXK Evolved Godzilla. Oh yes! This is exactly what I was waiting for! This is the figure combination that any Monsterverse fan cannot live without. If you have both of these figures on hand, they belong on a shelf together in any pose you can think of. Whether it's Kong punching Godzilla, whether it's Godzilla beating Kong to a pulp, whether it's Kong riding on Godzilla, or Godzilla and Kong fighting against Shimo and Scar King. Oh, I still don't have a Scar King. Well, at least I know HIYA Toys is gonna release a Scar King, but unfortunately I still don't know when they're gonna release it. It could be in a few weeks, it could be in a couple years, it could be today. Today? It's released today? It's been... The time is at hand, my children. Soon you will be complete. Obviously, the Scar King will be a must-have if you want to complete your GXK figure setup, but as long as you have Evolved Godzilla and this guy on hand, you can complete your GXK collection either way, because with or without Scar King and Shimo, these two are the subject of the entire film, so with it being their movie, them being put together is a perfect recreation of it. I cannot stop myself from taking pictures of these two posed together. Seriously, I need someone to physically stop me from taking pictures of these guys together. It is too amazing. The second I have that Scar King figure, no one can stop me! Now that I'm done with the size comparisons, let's give this figure his well-deserved, I think it's amazing grade. 7 out of 10. I was gonna give him 8 out of 10, but the limitations that he had in this figure lining up with the previous figure caused him to get the exact same grade. Oh my god, I didn't grade the last Kong figure, did I? Well, I did just confess that I gave him the same grade, so yeah, 7 out of 10. Good job. Back to this one, yes, it is the exact same Kong figure, but as I've said before, HIYA Toys has done this already, and they're gonna continue to do it, and that's not gonna stop me from being absolutely fed up with the fact that it's the same goddamn thing over and over again. You can't keep getting away with this, HIYA Toys. You can't just release the exact same Godzilla mold 6 different times and expect me to buy all of them. Just because I've already bought all of them doesn't mean I support your goofball antics. No matter what Godzilla figure you release next, if it's the same fucking thing that I've already purchased from you, I will not be buying it. No matter which one it is, I will not fall for this again. Yes, Daddy, I'll be a good boy for Christmas. I personally think that this figure is completely worth it. Visit the Kokis store today and make sure you're shipping from the right regional warehouse and it'll arrive to your house in less than a week. Seriously, I think this figure is 100% worth it. It's the exact same price as the last one with some added benefits. And the few negatives that I've covered are made up for with the fact that it's, you know, the same price. I would say HIYA Toys is once again underselling it, but that's not true. This is pretty much the perfect follow-up to the previous Kong figure release. Hopefully the next figure I review is not another version of the same damn mold. Now that I've said pretty much everything I can about the same figure, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching these videos. I'm so excited to be actually making toy reviews and showcasing all the figures and photos that I take with these things because, my god, I have a lot of them. I take pictures of these guys like there is no tomorrow. I even create little building dioramas to take pictures of them with. So it warms my heart when you guys actually support something that has actually been a childhood passion of mine. So leave a like and share this video with friends and rewatch it as many times as you like. I am having so much fun making these and I want to make more going forward. And just let me know if you want me to do anything other than HIYA toys. Trust me, I'm open to any figures that I may or may not already own. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a happy Halloween and enjoy spooky season, the best season. And I will see you all later!
You should have gone for the head.